as promised, I'm here to explain a little bit the plan for reading Arc of Justice, and also to go over the module and to give you just brief feedback on the last paper, which was good. Okay, so one thing I just want to reiterate is I am not encouraging you to not read the book. Okay, so what we're doing is we're just splitting up the work because this book is really dense. There's a lot of details. And so we're kind of going to treat our study guide as a wiki to go deeper into the book. And also another strategy even for doing that too, is to look at the index and look at the particulars. So once we get the study guide done, it's kind of a way of shopping for perspectives and clarifying how all the pieces of this book fit together. Now, I did tell you to skim chapters 3 to 5, and that's just because this book is dense, and I think in some places it gets into the weeds. No offense to Kevin Boyle, but he's very thorough, and like I had said, I think my theory is he's trying to put the reader into the shoes of a juror during this trial who would know a lot about Sweet and the big picture and the cultural and historical circumstances that led him to trying to integrate a neighborhood in Detroit. So one of the reasons why I don't have people read chapter 3 through 5 is that even when I do assign one chapter, people will say, great, I'm done. Even when I say, no, you're not. But if people are inclined to be a little bit of a slacker, getting assigned chapters 3 through 5 encourages that. So if you read chapter 3 through 5, you really have no clue what's going on with the trial. Once you read one of those chapters, 6 through 12, curiosity is going to draw you into the rest of the book to figure out, hey, what happened here? So don't stop with your chapter. However, if you're pressed for time, you might want to wait for the study guide to be completed so your classmates can help you out with undigging all the many threads that are going on through this book. The NAACP showing up, Clarence Darrow showing up, the law that Clarence Darrow and the defense attorneys used to defend Sweet and his family, that's also important. The definition of a mob, the neighborhood associations that organize to bully and intimidate, for the lack of better adjectives or verbs, Sweet and his family. So there's a lot of different, I would say, players and layers of culture that Boyle weaves into this book. So getting at all of these things together, I think, unlocks the book. And then also, I'm encouraging you with the paper as well to think about ways to go micro, to try and follow sort of a theme. Maybe if you're interested in the law, maybe if you're interested in Darrow. If you notice, I think I mentioned in one of my announcements, Josephine Goman shows up here. So those of you who have a chapter that features her might catch it. But if you're interested, you can go to the index and look up some of these folks and find out a little bit where they're featured in the book. And then especially when you're writing your paper, and if you want to go micro on a topic, the index can really help you dig back into it. So I also, going back to why I assign all these different chapters now, some people have the last chapter, which is short, but it's mentioned, a lot of stuff is mentioned in here. And frankly, when I told everybody to read the last chapter, some people didn't. And there's important, spoiler alert, I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's really the end of the story, which is very significant. So read the whole book, okay? But for your paper, you want to be going micro, trying to find more context. So working on the chapter is kind of practice for the paper. So if you want to be practical, you can use that chapter, but I assigned you that chapter. Make this paper and the project your own. Use classmates to help you learn more about the book. So I just wanted to show you a little tidbit. Now, this is a map from Detroit, an annexation map. So annexation is the process in which cities become cities. Many cities grew in between 1900 and World War II. After World War II, you might know the suburbs expanded and cities became kind of abandoned, but this was literally a boom town. Detroit was. You can see it was growing very fast, and that was part of the reason why it declined fast, because it was like put together in a big hurry when the auto industry promised all these jobs. So imagine people showing up and there wasn't a lot of places to live, and if no matter what color you were. And then when the Great Migration brought even more people from the South, that led to more racial tension, unfortunately, tragically. So I think if Garland Avenue is on the east side of Detroit, I'm just going to do a little guesstimate that say it's like here-ish. So 1917, and Sweet showed up in the beginning of the 1920s. So this is a brand new neighborhood. So if you think about the American dream being forged in Detroit, but also unevenly because of all the racism. So that was just one tidbit of information to get you a visual. What we call Detroit is always evolving. It's not really a static place. Probably here are Midtown, downtown, where Wayne State is. If you've ever been around Wayne State, that's something that sort of we think about as being Detroit. And in a way, it was the foundational geographical centerpiece of the city, and the rest of the city grew almost like the suburbs, very residential. And because it was a residential city, that did provide opportunities for people to own their homes. So in that sense, although he was ultimately unsuccessful, Sweet was a pioneer, and he was among others who were creating the American dream in the city of Detroit. So that's my little 2 cents there, my little speech about the point of the exercise of the study guide. Now, once you complete the study guide, like I'm gonna edit it, and I have really bad luck with Google Doc links. So if you guys were in class with me, I'm sure you'd have taught me a trick about how that will never happen again. But for some reason, the one Google Doc worked, and then the other one did not. So the one class, even though I said, hey, wait a minute, let me explain, had already begun the Google Doc and doing a great job. So you can see how the study guide can get quite large once everybody participates. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to do a little highlighting to kind of pull out some of the details, maybe create more of a narrative out of your notes. So this is a resource you might come back to when you're writing the paper, or maybe just the process of actually putting the thing together will unlock hopefully the book for you and help you write the paper. So I'm going to go to the module now. Now, a nice kind of thing about this project is because it's a book and because it's a little bit more of an established topic, the sources aren't really all over the place. You can get them in a few places. Now, of course, if you want to go on your own and find primary sources to contextualize whatever you decide to write about, that's fine. But we've got the Great Trials website. I'm not going to open the link because it's going to take a while to get back, but Great Trials website, which will be a great resource for you for your other class. There's documents from the trial. If you notice, you'll scroll through its chronological order. These trial mini websites inside the Great Trials website. There's also the Clarence Darrow collection. You can find speeches by Clarence Darrow, more background on him. Also, I encourage you to look at the African American newspapers that we have in our database. I just put the link to the Chicago Defender newspaper, but any of you who have used that newspaper, you'll know that once you go to the Chicago Defender newspaper, it will take you to a link for the African American newspaper collection, and you can find more information. But there is a lot more about the Sweet trial in the African American newspapers than there was about suffrage and Ida B. Wells. Okay, so I'm not going to take too much of your time. I just want to reiterate that the point of the putting together this Google Doc is to split up the work. You still need to read the book, find out what happened for yourself, figure out what you want to write about. I encourage you to go micro, focus in on something significant that interests you. Writing about the trial broadly is okay too, but I think you'll get more out of it if you really dig into some particular aspect of the book related to your own interests. Now, this is the last thing that we'll be working on pretty much, just this paper. So I've spread out the work so that if you want to finish it before Thanksgiving break, I think we all need a break. Or if you want to work on it during the break, or if you want to put it off and work on it when you get back to the break. That's up to you. I know you have probably other stuff that you need to work on and catch up on. Sleep, for one thing. And maybe we'll find a peace of mind with a little break from deadlines. So just briefly, I said on the syllabus that I was going to give you feedback on paper number 3. So I thought you did a really good job with that paper. I think maybe having a little bit, again, more of a micro topic was helpful. The last topic, there was a lot of sources to choose from. So I would say in this paper, again, going micro, finding something specific within the labyrinth of culture and people and I guess I would say movements going on in this book. However, the one thing to consider is that all of these things happen in a really compressed time period. So even that makes it a little more micro for you when you're writing the paper. Okay, so I'm not going to take up too much more of your time, but I just hope that you consider that I'm not telling you not to read the book. And I encourage you to use the index. And then I also hope that relying on each other will be productive for you. But if you want to just do your own thing and just do a drive-by on the Google Docs and then go off your merry way, that's fine too. We're just going to see what happens when we work together. All right, well, have a good day and have a good week, considering all the constraints. I'm going to try to. Bye.